So in result here, let's add a final property, an int result score, or whatever you want to name it. Let's add our constructor, and now as a positional argument, though of course you could also use a named argument if you preferred that, but here I will take this as a positional argument, my score. So when we use the result widget here, we now have to forward the score, and that of course now is our total score. So now the total score, which we calculate here in the myAppState class with the help of our total score property and the answer question function, that total score is now forwarded to result, and in result we now receive this here in the constructor, and we automatically, thanks to the shortcut here, store it in the result score property. Now I just want to output different texts here based on my result score. Now first of all, let's assign some styling here. We did this earlier. I would do this with the help of the text style class here and the style argument on my text widget. And I want to set the font size here to, let's say, 36, and also set the font weight, we haven't done that before, to font weight.bold. Again, font weight is here a class, and that is a static property. Again, font weight therefore is basically a utility, a grouper class, which groups a couple of predefined values, and that is basically a value that instructs Flutter to turn this text to bold text. Still, we need different texts, and we got different ways of now generating this. I like the way of adding a getter here. A getter here is a special type of property. It's basically a mixture of property and method. You create a getter by, first of all, defining which type of value you want to get, you want to derive, and that would be a string because I want to get some text. Then you add the get keyword, and then any name you want, like result phrase. Now, unlike in a method, you now don't add parentheses because a getter is like a method that can never receive any arguments. You do add a body though, and in that body, you now have to return a string. You always have to return something in a getter. You use it, however, like a normal property. So down there, instead of you did it, I will use result phrase. And I don't use it with parentheses to execute it like a function. I'm also not using it as the address of a function because this is no function. This is simply a Dart feature. It's a normal property, but the value is calculated dynamically. And here, the value I want to calculate is calculated based on the result score. So in here, in my body of that getter, I'll create a new variable result text to avoid name clashes here. And I'll assign a default of you did it. But then I want to add an if statement and check if my result score is, let's say, smaller or equal than 8. If that is true, then here between the curly braces, I'll set result text equal to you are awesome and innocent. So I'm overwriting result text with that new value here. Else if, and that's now new, I mentioned it earlier, we haven't used it thus far. It's an else statement, which kicks in if that condition is not satisfied. But unlike the normal else statement, it does now not blindly execute the code between the curly braces, but it checks another condition first. And here I check if result score is smaller or equal than 12. So if it's not smaller or equal than 8, then maybe it's smaller or equal than 12. In that case, I would set my result text to pretty likable. Whoops, with an extra E though. If we don't make it into there, we can check if the result score is smaller or equal than 16 maybe. And remember that in the way I designed this quiz, higher scores mean a more negative personality. So in that case, I will set result text to you are strange. And then in all other cases, I will set the result text to you are so bad. Now, of course, since I have that overall else case here, we don't really need an initial value here because we'll never keep that. We'll certainly at least make it into this else block here. So we could also get rid of that. And in that case, as you learned, it's a good practice to define the type that will be stored in result text in the end, which is a string. Now here in the end, I do return that result text. And therefore now when we use result phrase down there, that should be based on the result score we're getting, and we should be outputting different results, well, based on the choice the user made. So let's reload this application here. And now let's go for a negative personality. So I like black, I like snakes. And well, here everything is right, and we see you are so bad. Now that's good. Let's restart the app with the green button here. Of course, it would be nice to have a button here, but for the moment we don't have that. So let's wait for that to reload, and now let's go for a good personality, white. And then I like rabbits, and of course I like myself. You are awesome and innocent. So that's nice. One thing, of course, I notice is the text itself is not centered, so we can quickly do that in the result Dart file. Here on the text widget, we can set text align to text align.center, something we also did earlier, and now if we save that, it is centered. So that's pretty sweet, and that's working as it should, as it seems like. We're now showing different results based on different choices, and now we have, well, maybe not the most awesome application we ever built, but a realistic application that we could fine-tune and already deploy to the app stores if we wished to do that.